Hello. Welcome back to Hi-Fi File Hunters, the channel where I teach you what I know to make you a better consumer in an online shopping world. And today we're going to talk about mixers, specifically Chinese-made mixers, like these. Yeah, these are weird, so I guess let's get into it. So first of all, never mind the mess in the back, just ignore it. Do us all a favor and just shut up. So, a little bit of backstory on how I ended up getting these. It's actually a very strange story. So, to start off, I am a big-time gamer. I love listening to music while I play video games, and I've never owned a gaming PC. I've always been on console, and something that I ended up having issues with at the time was, how do I listen to music and play video games? At the time, a very good friend of mine gave me some Astro headphones. They actually had a mix amp, you know, the one with the big dial on it, and that one was great because you could have optical in, you could have USB to the system, and it had a auxiliary in. Now that mixer is in storage somewhere. I have no idea where it is. But it gave me this idea of, well, certainly there's something out there. Certainly there's something that will mix a bunch of different things so that I can listen to music and hear the sound on the TV, basically, is all I needed it for. And as I ventured deeper into audiophile territory, I realized that I wanted an analog system. I wanted a CD player. I wanted to use a headphone amp. I wanted to use cables and not depend on a PC for all of the digital inputs. So what is digital? Digital is basically a USB-A type plug. Correct me, I'm sure that's incorrect. But basically it's a data cable, and you send data from your computer to your mix amp, and it converts it to reading the files and the sounds, which is cool, but for me, I was not really a digital guy. I did not want to do that. I wanted to use everything from, well, TV, CD, iPod, and auxiliary from my phone. And that was the beginning of it. This is the first one I ever owned. And yeah, you've never heard of that brand. Ever. So I hunted online through Sweetwater and all kinds of other ones. And pretty much anything that was stereo like this. And yeah, these are stereo. I should probably get into that before I get into the rest of the story, but this is stereo that also does mono. So the idea here is that you could have your stereo output, you could have a left and right set as mono, and run it through stereo out, and you could have instruments plugged into it. And this is what these are designed for, technically, is for use with instruments. And to make it even more confusing, you have a couple kinds of cables here. You have, first of all, a TRS 1/4 inch jack. And what that means is tip, T, R, receive, and S, send. Tip, receive, send, or tip, right, left. However you want to look at it. And the idea behind this is just like your headphone jack. It's exactly the same thing as one of these that you plug into your phone and you plug into your stereo or whatever you've got going on. And the idea is that it's just bigger. And there's nothing wrong with these. They work perfectly fine. But a lot of people really like to stick to mono for some reason. Mono left and right, for whatever reason. And here is a TS cable, tip send. Yeah, and this is for instruments and microphones that are not condenser mics. It's pretty straightforward. Tip, send, and that's all it does, which is cool, but it would require you to have 2 of these inputs taken up as left and a right. Now you're probably thinking, why did I go with some cheap Chinese made, super cheap, hot garbage? Well, it's because of this. And the issue with this is that, well, it's $80. I don't remember specifically what I paid for this one, but it was cheap. And it claims ultra low noise 4-channel line stereo mixer. It claims it's super low noise. The question is, though, is it? Right? Because typically people just assume that anything like this is not going to be low noise. It's going to produce a lot of noise. These are designed to not make a ton of noise. And with the market the way that it was at the time, and even still now, it's pretty hard to find a stereo line mixer that, well, to be completely honest with you, it's very hard to find a stereo line mixer that is not passive. And the difference here is that this one is powered. Okay, this takes a Type-C, and you just plug it in and it's on, and it's 5 volts, and it doesn't really take that much power. Honestly, it's quite impressive. And the thing is, a lot of what's on the market now that is anywhere near what this is passive. And let me explain that. So when it comes to passive mixers, you run into a few issues. Issue number 1 being the fact that you're losing sound, basically. From going from a line in and to a line out, you basically lose power. And those can be used in certain situations, but if you're trying to listen to something, it doesn't really work as great as you would think it would. The beauty of passive is it's absolutely low noise. And to be completely honest with you, sometimes there's no noise, including the sounds you want to hear. Now this is the original. I bought this one because it's a new version and it has an on-off switch instead of having to plug it in every single time, you know. The great thing about these is that they're powered, and they are only powered to 80 ohms, which means that it's gonna be low noise. It's not having 20 watts of power forced through it. It's only 5 watts. It's only gonna power up to 8 ohms. And this is really important if you're trying to not degrade sound or lose sound. Running it from a source into this out to a headphone. This works freaking great. Now, is it low noise? Yeah, actually it is, and that is why I'm talking about these, because they are low noise. There's like nothing coming out of these, and if you have a properly crafted amplifier for your headphones, that's going to protect you from noise as well. Me personally, I have the little Dot Mark II over in the corner. I'll do a video on that actually, because it's quite the impressive piece of equipment. But basically, I'd have TV, my CD player, and my iPod dock, and an auxiliary in from my phone in case I wanted to watch a video somebody sent me or watch YouTube while I was gaming. Yeah, I have ADHD, and I do this a lot where I have a bunch of different things happening all at once. And this goes out to my tube amp, and then headphones from the tube amp to my face. And to make this product even more impressive is it has a ground. I'm not gonna get into grounding techniques in this video just because that's a whole thing. But essentially, you can reduce all noise by attaching a wire to whatever source is giving you noise to this, and it's like a ground. It's like a ground for electricity. It's safer for audio frequencies to not have an interference of extra power going through them. So as my addiction to audio equipment grew even stronger, I found out that I needed more outputs. And actually, before I found that out, I found out that they made this one. This is the new version of this. So essentially, this just has 4 channels and 1 output, and you can do mono or stereo, depending on what you're putting in it. If it's instruments, if it's TRS stereo cables to your other equipment, yada yada, you get it, you know what it does. This is essentially the same thing, but it has extra power for microphones. I can't imagine that you would really want to go to the trouble of using a non-condenser mic in one of these, just because there's a lot easier ways to use microphones than with this, but it has that, I guess, and it has mono and stereo. These are not the original knobs. I actually bought these off of eBay, and this one has a power button, which is essentially the reason I bought a new version. But then I realized I needed more, and I wanted 2 outputs, so in comes the Moki, the monster. Yeah. I'm not gonna twist any of these knobs because I use this every single day, and yeah, that's a lot of outputs. Now, what makes this one so special is it is the same thing. It's all stereo, and you can set some of them up as mono, and it's a mono and stereo mixer. So to put this into dummy terms, you could have left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, and have a 4 input mixer with a single output as left and right. Okay, are you following? Or you can have it all set up, click this button in, and have 8 different channels playing into 2 different outputs. So what on earth does that translate to? Well, it does a lot of things. It does mono, it does mono stereo, which is left and right, whatever you want to call it, and then it has TRS stereo input for all of it. Now, I'll give you the rundown. TV, Bluetooth, dongle, open for guitar. These 2 are open for my synthesizer. CD, this one can be tape deck, and if you have a turntable, yes, a record player, as if that word would escape my mind for some reason. You can also have that jammed into this, and yeah, you kind of do have to have special cables, but they're fairly cheap. So Hosa is a cable brand that actually makes pretty affordable cables, and I've been using them for the past probably 4 or 5 years with this guy, and they make a lot of TRS cables to weird connections. This isn't strange, but this next one is. TRS? What does it lead to? Oh boy. Oh boy. RCA. Yeah. There's a lot stranger ones out there. I'll give you that. There's a lot stranger pairings. However, this isn't something you just go into Best Buy and purchase. You probably have to go to Sweetwater, or go to Sweetwater store online. I can't find any of this kind of stuff on Amazon either, but hear me out. At the end of the day, compared to other mixers and all of the necessary cables you would need for those, this is at least 2 times cheaper to have this kind of setup. This cable right here is I think it's a 6 foot? No, this is a 5 foot. And this was like $6. Yeah, that's very affordable for a strange cable like that. And this was actually for my tube amp before I got a longer one because my setup changed so much. And yeah, you need TRS cables to whatever it is you're trying to plug in, which can get confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. Down in the description I have a link to Sweetwater's cable finder, which you can pick out all kinds of stuff actually. It's really nice. You can do this kind of stuff. And I highly recommend that if you're looking for a strange cable or something that you're not sure exists, go to that link, check them out, and see if they have what you need. So I gave you the rundown of what our 8 channels are and what they could be. And that could be very different for you. But this, output A for me is my tube amp. And output B is for my studio monitors. Not to be confused with a video monitor, these are speaker monitors. And essentially, ease of use is maximum importance to me, and with an analog setup like I have it, you kind of have to have something like this. Otherwise, you're going to run into all kinds of issues. But if you're one of those lucky people that you have a nice PC that works really well, there's a plethora of digital mixers, and you won't need this or any of the cables, and you can just live a happy life without any of this. However, if you care about, well, physical media, CDs, vinyl, tape, 8-track, anything at all, you might want to invest into something like this. And if you're a musician and you have, well, let's talk about Volcas. Korg makes a lot of these, and that's actually what these originally were kind of designed for. Yeah, they don't tell you that. But you could essentially buy a whole bunch of these adapters for 1/8 inch or 3.5, whatever you want to call them. And you could attach a whole bunch of these Volca beats and drum, and they have so many. They have, I'm not even kidding, they have so many. It's not even funny. You can sync them together, you can control them, and then you can have them, all the audio going into one of these, straight out into your mix, and be done with it. And that's kind of something I didn't know at the time when I purchased that, was that those are kind of used for that because it's a lot easier. And maybe you have a whole bunch of them. There you go. Output 8 ohms, just like the other ones. So you can use a lot of different headphones, actually. If you have reference headphones or some kind of studio monitor that is low ohm, such as the Sony MDR 7506s, yeah, a catchy name. These are gonna work great just plugged directly into that, and then you can have a recorder out. But are they low noise enough for an audiophile? In my humble opinion, and I'm not one of those audiophiles that thinks you have to have $10,000 minimum in your equipment to enjoy music. Yeah, this is perfect. I've never once had a problem where I was like, wow, there's a lot of noise coming out of this. And when I have, it's because the outputs are dirty And there's actually a lot of cleaning kits you can use. If you go to my TikTok, I actually have a video of me cleaning this, and it works perfect. And there's no noise, no static, and if there ever is noise, this one does have a ground as well. So yeah, it's pretty great. But I will complain about two things. There's no on-off switch, and it's micro USB. Oh, also a third complaint is how stupid bright this light is. And these are cheap enough that you could have a whole bunch of these and have a million inputs and a bunch of outputs, and you could really do some stupid stuff with it, honestly. And I don't recommend doing that, especially if you're using this for audiophile equipment, because you're going to run into a ton of problems with noise. But yeah, these two can go together and pretty much make this, except you'll only have one output. And yeah, that's the video. Questions, comments, concerns, go to the comments section. Let me know if you have any questions on these that are things maybe I didn't go over very well. I have taken these apart and looked at the inside. This one has two separate motherboards. It's kind of confusing, and these two are super simple. Really cool machines, honestly. And if you have any questions about these, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok. I post a lot of kind of different content there. And yeah, I'm on Facebook too. Catch you later. Okay, I guess time to hook all of this back up.